Today we're going to look at compressing and decompressing streams with RadZipLibrary. RadZipLibrary is part of the Telerik RAD controls for Silverlight WPF control suite for .NET XAML development. With the new RadZipLibrary, you can easily compress and decompress your streams with the preferred compression level. This is useful in instances where you may need to send your stream over the internet. In this video, we're going to take a look at just how to do that. So let's go ahead and jump into Visual Studio 2010 and get started. So here we are, we're inside of Visual Studio 2010, and I'm just going to go File, New Project. We're going to select Visual C#, Silverlight, and then RAD Controls Silverlight Application. I'm going to come down here underneath the name, and I'm just going to give it the name of Zip Library Streams TTV for Telerik TV. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit OK. So the next dialog box is asking us, do we want to host the Silverlight application in a website? And then it's asking us, which version of Silverlight do we want to use? And we're just going to select Silverlight 5 here and then press OK. Next up, we have the project configuration wizard. I'm just going to scroll down here and I'm going to put a check here in telerik.windows.zip. This is where the zip library lives. And we're also going to be using some RAD buttons, so I'm going to place a check here in telerik.windows.controls. Next, we'll go ahead and hit Finish. It takes it just a second, but then our Silverlight project finishes spinning up. And the first thing that we're going to notice underneath References is that we have telerik.windows.controls and telerik.windows.zip. Now that that's in place, I'm going to go ahead and scroll this window up a little bit, and we'll see that our XML namespace for Telerik has already been added for us. So let's begin doing some work on the UI. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to replace the grid with the stack panel. And the stack panel, I'm going to set the horizontal alignment to center. Next, I'm going to drop in a text box. So this text box is actually going to contain the uncompressed text that we're going to compress using the RadZip library. So now that we have that in place, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop in a grid underneath our text box. And inside of this grid, you see we have a couple of things. So the first one we have is another stack panel, which is going to give us our orientation of horizontal and the horizontal alignment to left. And it's simply going to display a text block that says uncompressed size. And then it's going to give us what the uncompressed size actually is. So after that, we're going to close out of that stack panel, and then we'll have our first button, and this button actually gives us a content of compress, and when they select this button, they'll actually be able to compress the content of the text box into a stream using the RadZip library. So we'll just go ahead and we'll resolve that event handler real quick, and then we'll click back to our main page. Now that we know what our uncompressed text looks like, let's go ahead and add a place for our compressed text to show up. So underneath the same grid, I'm just going to paste in another text box with the name of compressed text. It's also going to be wrapping, and then we have our stack panel again, and we see our text block that says compressed size, and it's the second text block's text is going to be binding to a text.length and the element name of compressed text. So if we scroll down here, you can kind of get a picture of what this application is going to look like. So up here we'll have our uncompressed text. Down here at the bottom we'll have the compressed text. This also will be updating based off of the size. Let's go ahead and switch back to our code behind page. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to fix our using statements to only include what we're going to use in this application. So I've added telerik.windows.zip and then system.io for our stream. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is actually add in a loaded event handler. So I have created my loaded event handler, and now I'm going to paste in a sample of maybe some XML that you may want to use our zip library to compress. So if we scroll up here to the top, a string XML text, and then this is a little bit of sample XML that I've added just to kind of simulate what it would be if you were actually using our library to compress your stream. And now I'm setting the uncompressed text, which was our text box, to the XML text we just defined. So now that that's in place, we're going to need to add in a little bit of code here for our button event handler. I've went ahead and I've created a method called compressString. So I'll just paste that here and we'll take a look at it. So we have a compressed string that's passing in a string. The first thing we're doing is we're using our memory stream, and then we're setting the zip compression method. So you can see here the zip compression is just set to default, but there's several other modes that's available here. And you can check those out inside of the documentation if you want to learn what each method does. Next up, we have our zip output stream. And then we're creating our stream reader. Of course, we have to write the stream and then flush the stream. And then finally, our compressed text.txt. We're going to display our memory stream in base 64. The only thing needed to do now is actually call that method. So we'll call that with our compress string, and this will be on uncompressed text.txt. So now that that's in place, let's go ahead and let's run our application. And we'll see our first text box. We have our XML string that we defined, and then we have our uncompressed size. So now we can hit compress, which is going to use the default compression, and you'll see our base 64 value, but down here at the bottom you'll see the compressed size is now 524. So this stream was 2291 and it's now set to 524 using the default compression level. So thank you for watching, and please tune in to tv.telerik.com for more videos and check out blogs.telerik.com for the latest news and announcements.